From sharks that change shape to prehistoric species, stay tuned to number 1 to find out the most bizarre shark species in existence. Number 10. Pyjama Shark. The Pyjama Shark, also known as the Striped Catshark, is a shark that has a unique body type. It's very loose and its head is much flatter than most sharks. They are also a shark species that honestly don't get too big. In fact, they only reach about 3 feet. But don't let that size disadvantage fool you, they are rather cunning predators. For off the coast of South Africa, where they live, they'll actually hide in reefs and wait for the perfect prey to come around, and then they'll strike. So what's bizarre about these sharks aside from their size? Well, let me tell you about a special trick this Pyjama Shark has. If the shark feels it's under attack, the Pyjama Shark will roll itself up into a ball of sorts. They do this to hide and protect their head, and hope that their predators think that there's something other than their next meal. Which is also another bizarre thing about this shark. The thing that hunts it is other sharks. Talk about not respecting the family. Still, despite being small, they're quite populous and are found in many parts of the world, though South Africa is most definitely their common spot. Number 9. Zebra Shark. When you look at the zebra sharks, you might think, why is it called a zebra shark when it has all of those spots? Well, that's because these sharks were born with striped lines, but then when they mature, they get spots. That's nature apparently. But trust me when I say that this isn't the most bizarre thing about this shark. So what could be weirder? Well, let's talk about its body. You see, it's quite flexible and in a very unusual way. It's meant to be that way so that it can get in and out of tight spaces without much issue. Through this, it technically has more range than other sharks who would have to stop when their prey gets into an area that they can't reach. Still not bizarre enough? Well, how about this? Zebra sharks are able to immaculately conceive. You know, make babies without partners? Now usually this is called asexual reproduction, like what happens with cats, but this is not that. It's actually called parthenogenesis, and what makes it truly bizarre is that scientists can't exactly explain why the shark does this. One case even led to a zebra shark giving birth despite not being close to a male zebra shark for 3 years. Nature. Number 8. Bahamas Saw Shark. Before we talk about the Saw Shark, take a moment to like this video and join the Zero to Hero community by using the buttons below. You know what you're getting yourself into when you have the name Saw Shark, right? It's the same thing with Hammerhead. They're named that way because they look like these things. But the Bahamas Saw Shark takes it to another level in my opinion. You see, its massively flat and long nose is much like a saw, as it has loads of sharp spikes on it. So far, it sounds par for the course. But the function is where it shines, because this shark actually digs into the ground to find its prey, and then it'll rip them up with the spikes. That's very creative, and a very literal use of the phrase, use your head. Oh, but that's not all that's bizarre about this shark, for its location has developed a weird way to sense its prey. You see, the shark lives 1,000 feet below sea level, which means that there isn't any light for them to use. Because of this, it has an adaptation on its snout. If you look closely, you'll see 2 whisker-like things attached to it. These are the barbels, and they use them to detect movement and light on the ground. And once detected, their snouts go to work. To put the size of the saw snout in context, the shark as a whole is about 5 feet long. And so imagine what it must look like for prey to see this saw snout. Number 7. Frilled Shark. While there are many sharks in the ocean right now, there were many in the oceans of the world before us. And that's why the Frilled Shark is on my list, because this is one shark that looks like it existed many millions of years ago, but is alive right now. Funny enough though, it was only found about 11 years ago, but as some scientists have noted, the Frilled Shark has the look of a creature you would find in a National History Museum. This has gotten it the nicknames of the living fossil or a prehistoric shark, which is fair in my opinion. The other bizarre thing about the Frilled Shark is that it does not have many of the standard features a shark is known for. It doesn't have a large dorsal fin, instead it has numerous fins on the side and bottom of its body. Its skin also looks very rugged and worn, which many have likened to certain types of eels. In fact, the Frilled Shark has been compared to an eel a lot because of its length and its movement capabilities. If you're hoping to try to see one of these sharks yourself, good luck. You'll need to go 5,000 feet below sea level, though some reports have it close to the surface in other areas. Number 6. Megamouth Shark. When it comes to rarity, the Megamouth Shark might just be one of the rarest sharks ever found, and that's only the beginning of its bizarreness. Not unlike the Frilled Shark, this creature was only found somewhat recently, back in 1976. It's one of only 3 filtering sharks in the world, meaning they don't eat in the usual way that sharks do. For rather than hunting down prey and devouring them, the Megamouth Shark just leaves its mouth open. Why? Well, it'll rush through the water and catch plankton and other creatures that can't get out of the way. Then once it catches the plankton, it literally filters between what it needs and doesn't need, and then moves on. Talk about a minimalist way to catch food, huh? Oh, I forgot to mention, its mouth. It's over 4 feet wide, and as if that wasn't very atypical for a shark, it only has 90 teeth, and they're very small. Finally, despite their discovery, less than 100 of these sharks have ever been seen. Just goes to show you that we have a lot more to learn about them. Number 5. Horn Shark. Ironically enough, this isn't a shark with a horn on its head. Weird, but it is pretty bizarre because its body is very much not like other sharks. One look at its head will tell you that. Then if you go further down their body, you'll see something truly bizarre. Spines on one of their dorsal fins. If you're not considering that weird enough yet, that's okay. But something that is undeniably bizarre about the horn shark is that they aren't the most agile of species. In fact, they're known to be both small and slow, which is atypical of sharks. But I suppose they can't help genetics. But because they're so docile and slow, humans have no problems catching them and then throw them into aquariums because, if nothing else, they're definitely interesting to look at. Number 4. Pocket Shark. It's always a wonder when a new species of life is found, but with the pocket shark, it's pushing into bizarre levels. Why? Well, only 2 have been found in history. Ever. Think about all the expeditions in the world, and yet this shark has only been found twice. Oh, it gets more bizarre though, for these sharks are tiny, as the only 2 caught were 5.5 and 18 inches in length. Just as bizarre is the fact that the 2 that were caught were found on opposite bodies of water that don't resemble one another at all. One was found off the waters of Peru, which has a very low temperature, while the other one was found in the Gulf of Mexico, which has much higher temperatures. This suggests that this is a type of shark that can go into any temperature of water. Many think that this is one of the rarest creatures in the world today. Number 3. Speartooth Shark. Sharks are usually associated with saltwater, but the Speartooth Shark is one of only 6 shark species in the world that are capable of going into freshwater places like rivers. This already makes it a rather bizarre shark if you ask me. Oh, and it isn't speculation that it can go into rivers. People in Australia and New Guinea have seen this shark in those places. It can grow up to 10 feet in length at best estimate, and its large teeth make it very easy for it to catch its prey. As for why it's actually called the Speartooth Shark, it's because of its elongated snout, which looks like many things, and for some reason, people think it looks like a bird's beak. To each their own, I guess. Finally, there's something very bizarre about how it survives in the wild, because when it's captured by scientists, they never last. So there's something about it being inside a cage that it, unfortunately, can't survive. Number 2. Spotted Wobegon. Alright, I admit it, I put the shark at this spot just because of its name. It's just weird. But also in truth, the spotted Wobegon is rather bizarre. In fact, this particular species of shark is bizarre because they're carpet sharks. If you don't know that term, it basically means that they hunt by sitting at the bottom of the ocean where they live, let their prey move over them, then lunge out and get a meal. It's a clever trick, and their bodies are wide, flat, and camouflaged to help them hide in plain sight. The look of the spotted Wobegon also helps to set it apart from other sharks, from its wide base to the fringe coming off of its mouth and head. It's really weird looking. Yet just as weird, it attacks humans. No, it doesn't openly attack them in regards to being prey, but there have been recorded attacks on humans by this shark, all because it's that aggressive. Really? It doesn't look like it, and that is bizarre. Number 1. Goblin Sharks. There are creatures out in the world that are straight from your nightmares. And if you don't believe me, you only need to take one look at the Goblin Shark. Oh yes, this is a real shark, and thankfully for us all, they live only in very deep parts of the ocean, such as the Mariana Trench, and they've been living there for millions of years. This thing is terrifying on every level that matters, and the fear of it only adds to its bizarre anatomy. You see, that elongated nose on the Goblin Shark, which is also known as the vampire shark, is full of electromagnetic sensors. It can detect even the smallest discharge of electricity, such as that occurs in its prey's brain, which makes it a very feared predator in the darkness of the trench. Think I'm done? Not even close. Let's say that you're its prey, and it finds you. It will not only lock in on you, it will actually extend its mouth from its body and chomp down. So this thing is like a xenomorph, and that means every single one of us is in trouble. You almost have to wonder what series of events happened to cause this creature to be born, because it's bizarre and terrifying, and I never want to see it again. What is your favorite species of shark? Let us know in the comments below, and take care.